Yeah, so this is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is the cat. This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster. This is in Cat Kirk outfit. This is day 3 of Fanime recap, behind the scenes. Uh, uh, AnimeCon, the convention desperately needed, thus far, or 3 days in. Desperately needed somebody like the Nostalgia Critic and Channel Awesome. That was mentioned on there. But yeah, they needed somebody like Angry Video Game Nerd or Angry Joe or Nerd Cubed or something like that. I'm sure it's... Yeah. And they didn't get it. They had everyone else. They got a lot of animators from Japanese anime, and that's fine. But and gaming, it's fine. But they needed some personalities from the web, other web personalities that they didn't really have, probably due to the Channel Awesome debacle weeks earlier. Maybe they were planning on going. They didn't. Yeah, and that doesn't mean we wouldn't eventually appear on there anyway. But we have not made any plans. Yeah, so is there anything pressing to talk about in the behind the scenes? There was a political panel which was about a dystopia, utopia, and dystopia being unknown or unseen, literally. It's dystopia and utopia. Yeah, the impossible, unknown, and unseen. The Jacob's ladder. Not Jacob's ladder. Occam's razor. The idea of dystopia kind of not working. A utopia where someone's in charge as a dictator is going to fail. It's not going to survive. That was the point of one of the things there. No one has invented a perfect form of government. The closest thing to it would be a Republican democracy oligarchy with a benevolent dictator, which don't really have, although President 45 thinks he's in one. Yeah, Fanime. So Fanime, the lady was going on about that. Politics in there. Apparently she was a poli-sci major at heart, although she technically wasn't. She was some kind of sociology and like art, writing major. Like I was an English major. Literature and stuff. Yeah, so she did literature and stuff, and yeah, she was equating. It was a panel. She was equating some of the Ayn Rand stuff, the Atlas Shrugged, to the characters in a story called. I thought it was Biohazard. It was Biohazard was Bioshock, so it was not actually Resident Evil. It was something else. Although it had a lot of those themes, the theme of dystopia, but without the zombies. There were actually killer people in it. Didn't have zombies. But sure, learned something different about other video games. That's good. But yeah, the politically charged debate could be a bunny trail that we won't go on. Yesterday I was talking about the Lolita bunny trail. And there's a little more to that than meets the eye there, Transformer. In that the animators that are using that word know very well that terminology in the US market and the European market does have a sexual connotation. They know that movie. They're familiar with it. So the animators are actually just making a play on words to get people to buy the product. Okay, yeah, I was. Let me backtrack a little. When I was talking about the term Lolita that was used, the people that are doing the animation thing, it's not an animation, a manga thing, and and a cosplay thing, they know full well of the movie and the connotations and the whole thing. They know what they're implying. Now, they're not saying they're doing anything bad, but they know what they're implying from calling it that. It's about schoolgirls with scantily clad outfits on. That's what the movie's about, except in the movie, it's prostitution. Gross. But in the anime story, the Lolita panel or whatever it was, costume show, it was not. So the costume show was not, but the implication is that it was. So, anyway, so child, yeah, gross. Pedos, yeah, pedos. Pedo bears. Not pedo bear, actually. Pedo bear was a made-up meme that led to people thinking it was real, and it wasn't. So that's kind of the same thing here, but in reverse. They want the infamy of the title without the infamy of what it actually is. It would be like if they called it, like, sex sluts or something, or slave girls or something, which would have a connotation of, like, ew, don't want to do this, but without saying actually, no slavery. Anyway, so, yeah, back to the other story. Oops. And the misogynist would love that. But back to the, there's really not much more in there. And I could see that feminist political lady going on about the other thing being wrong. I could see her doing that. Yeah, like arguing with the hentai lady and the other. There was a panel about messed up sort of. There's a panel about messed up people at cons acting weird in line. That was put on. Well, that was like the panel, yeah. So messed up people. Well, socially awkward people go to cons because they feel comfortable going to cons with other socially awkward people, costumey people. So it's like, well, that's not really an issue. I don't think. I mean, they're gonna be weird in line. It's like when I was at Fanime last year and somebody made a disparaging sex comment to some lady because he didn't like her in line, mouthing off to him, and it was like, yeah, he's never gonna get any, But it's like, and then other people are gonna go in the wrong line or whatever, like they talked about, and then fuss about it. But for the most part, people don't act like idiots. Although the Campus Crusade people did get kicked off the campus again, off of the Fanime today. They were over in the park. Apparently somebody threw a rock. One of them did. That's kind of ironic considering those cast the first stone. Those without sin. Those who are, Jesus said, those without sin cast the first stone. Apparently somebody did. Nobody there is without sin, so they can't cast a stone. So they were kicked out. Again. Apparently one year there was a guy dressed as Jesus that came out and chased them off. I saw that, at least one time that happened. I also saw a guy in a devil costume and a guy in a Jesus costume, and they both ran out. It's pretty funny. So I was there for one of those. The guy was thinking, unless somebody misremembered a 2008 one, but it might have happened both. But it did happen when I was there in 2013, 2014. It was funny. So it happened twice. I didn't get footage of that. But got footage of the one from 2016. I'm out on the street corner. They were about a block and a half away at the hotel doing it. At which point I pointed out that Jesus said nothing about the gays, and then he turned around and left. Come back that way. He was like flustered. The Campus Crusade guy, yes. Needless to say, the guy saw me coming and wanted to take off again. But yeah, and there were people, there was a Campus Crusader guy at our church that was in the coffee shop complaining about the costume people. He's apparently one of them. So, ironically, another one of those Crusaders was in the hentai panel, and she was like sitting in there, kept turning around going, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Like, Not that she was paranoid that I was there. She was grossed out that I was at that I was at the Star Trek Slash panel, which is like, that's my business. That, yeah, what business of hers is it that I'm at a Slash panel with? That, it's like weird. That was one of my con stories. I mentioned the Slash panel lady. They didn't say who it was. Just a person was disgusted that I was there. Didn't say that I kind of knew of her, but but yeah, funny. It's like, I don't know. My response was hilarious. I said, "Well, what are you doing here?" She didn't say anything after that. It's like, okay, so if I'm not supposed to be at the panel, then what about you? I did point out to the current, some of the people walking across the street from the park where the Crusaders were, that it's not adultery or idolatry. I don't know why he keeps saying adultery over there. If he means idolatry, the only way that would work is if you were making false god idols. And I could see like somebody confusing some of that for idolatry, but it isn't really what they meant. Because in the Old Testament, idolatry, what that meant was literally making a golden calf or some other idol or an Asherah pole or something to worship that. Or making like a little altar to other gods. Costuming is not a god. Are they saying that like if somebody dresses like Thor, it's a made up version of a Norse god, oh my gosh, oh, you're idolatry, you're worshipping Thors? No. What? This will be worshipping Captain Kirk, he'd like that. No, of course not. Also the premise in some of the circles they were throwing out there was that, yeah, stuff that I've never quite gotten right is people getting personally offended when you don't like their shit. I find that amusing because you're not saying you don't like them, you're saying that you don't like the stuff they watch. That's your opinion. That doesn't make them better or worse. That's your opinion. If you say, oh, I don't like Walking Dead, that doesn't mean that means the other person is stupid. That means they don't like the show. It's different. I don't like the show or whatever. I don't like Game of Thrones. I've never watched it. That doesn't mean people that watch it are automatically dumb. That doesn't mean that at all. It means the show has elements that I do not like for whatever reason. Along the same vein, if they say, oh, some of Star Trek is stupid, I wouldn't be offended. I would say, yes, there are some episodes of Star Trek that are stupid. I would agree with them and say, yeah, Spock's brain is code of honor. Some of those episodes were really dumb. But yeah, the whole show is not stupid. But I'm not going to be personally offended. I don't work for Star Trek. I'll say, well, okay. Got a little offended at the Channel Awesome thing. But anyways, hypocrite. Yeah. But yeah, I don't even work for them. But yeah, we're all guilty of hypocrisy. And yeah, so that's my little rant. To say that any one person is necessarily right or wrong is egotistical and not logical. But you must have empathy and sympathy for others' situation. If someone in a given group has their personal space violated by somebody who's cloying or in the way or just in the way, yeah, that's not good either. But that doesn't mean necessarily that you're insulting them. That means you just got in their personal space and got in their bubble. Well, people have those. So just don't do that. Try not to do that. Apologize. Yeah, so soapbox. Yeah, Jesus never ran around like yelling at costumed people. In fact, some of the apostles dressed up in costume to escape from the Romans. So technically, costuming is biblical. So there. Yes, when John Patmos escaped from the prison, he went into costume. The angel helped him sneak out of there, put a costume on him, right? And took him out there and took him to the people so they could knock on the door and let lady let him in. Yeah, so that was an act. So hey, there's a costume right there. Somebody was in disguise so they could get away out of the prison. That's the Old Testament right there. Oh, New Testament. Revelations and raptures and stuff was hinted at in the other thing. I'm not going to go into a rant about that because that was kind of stupid. But yeah, that BioShock game looks kind of dumb. Yeah, I know everybody's going to go, no, you think I'm dumb because you said my game is dumb. It's not your game, first of all. It's something you watch, so it's not yours. You're not invested in it, just with time, and you like the characters. No, some elements of that game are stupid. Okay, there. Some elements of Resident Evil, the other game that I thought it was, are stupid. Really stupid. But that doesn't mean it offends the people that like that game series. It just means that parts of the game are stupid. So yeah. And also, the self-publisher guys, I don't necessarily agree with some of their politics either. Yeah, they're self-published now. But if you're good enough, I suppose, you don't need an editor, but you probably should have one. It's more of a guideline, not a rule, if you're that good. If you're not that good, then yeah, your stuff will be embarrassing. Get it out there. I'm sure they were trying not to be embarrassing, although I'm not going to say who it was. I don't know who it was, but one of the people in the audience asked whether they could publish his highly Asperger story. I have many of those, but this was somebody else that asked that. And if you're gonna go up to a publisher person and say, publish my highly obsessive Asperger story, that's probably the wrong way to market your story. Say don't tell them that. They'll figure it out when they read it, they edit it. That oh yeah, this guy, yeah, he's interesting. He's out there. But yeah, don't tell them that. Just don't do that. I find that I've gone over the writing thing before. I don't need to do it. Well, maybe I'll do a lecture on that later. But yeah, but suffice it to say that I'm not really professional. So yeah, but also the idea that some of the people that are asking these questions at writer conventions, that it is they don't want to learn how to write well. They want to be famous. That's different. If you're on the panel, I will say this when I have a panel one day, that's really your motivation out there. You want to be famous, you want to be known on YouTube or have a story and be popular. Be famous and popular. Because you weren't in school. I know you weren't, because I wasn't either. and that's what it is. So what you got to do, the only way I was popular was with my clique. We had a Star Trek fan club thing going on. It got a little dirty at times. It became slash fiction, but mostly it was clean. Yeah, so and then it went on to college like that, and then some of it became very dirty. But yeah, we didn't publish more than 1 or 2 issues of that. Yeah. But yeah, you're not going to see that on the internet. I'm not putting that up there. But you can find. I'm sure they're buried somewhere on the Usenet forum somewhere. Find them. Let's see. Yes, there it is. So yeah, so yeah. Also, the other thing that stymies writers that they didn't address in the panel is that many of them don't really know how to do it. They really don't know how to do it. So going on and rambling about how you do InDesign, which is really old. Why are they still using InDesign? It's got to be 10 years old. I guess some of them still use it. And some of those other programs, they're not going to know what you're talking about. Just tell them, okay, Microsoft Word processor, learn how to type. I know I hated hearing that from typing teachers, but no, learn how to type. Learn how to type well. Learn how to type not really looking at the keys, because it'll help tremendously. So you'll be able to put out your ideas and go faster than the keyboard can do your Microsoft Word because they're just faster than the word processor, which is cool. Which is sometimes annoying. You'd be like, oh, you have an idea and it's coming out, and it's like, oh, come on. Come on. Click, click, click. It's not going. Yeah, so I don't know how fast my typing speed is, but it's faster than Microsoft. But oh yeah, these fan stories that are like going on a tangent about really boring minutia that no one else is going to be interested in you. Take that out. The authors, you don't need to do that. Just bring it into the story, put it in the dialogue. You don't need to go on for paragraphs on end about how the ship works, how the fuel works, what it looks like. Just a little bit, just enough to get you in there. Read a lot. Read voraciously. Read the greats and see how they did it. Tolkien tended to alliterate a lot. Arthur C. Clarke tended to be he wasn't as heady. Now some people say, well, my favorite is Isaac Asimov, but he published 7 books at a time. Actually, Isaac Asimov, one of the great sci-fi authors, is more of a science history author, I think. Because, yeah, his stuff is boring, pedantic, and it goes on forever. Yeah, especially Foundation. That's a really hard book to read. Don't use that as your template. Use a robot, iRobot or something else. Bicentennial Man. Something else that's Asimov. That's where it's a little bit more puts you in the story. Because he went off on a tangent. No, it was Asimov. It was Clark. Even what was the current guy? Alistair Reynolds. Yeah. Has a lot of description and stuff in there. That's kind of goes over your head. But his dialogue is pretty good. So. Alistair Reynolds. He's a current guy. Who else? Actually, Andy Weir. Why not? The guy who did The Martian. That guy can write dialogue. That thing is all dialogue. That's all he's doing is writing dialogue. And then the story writes itself. You're doing it right. The story writes itself. If you're like, oh, wow, I could just imagine these guys talking like this. And read it aloud when you type it. That also helps. Of course, my editor on that is going to be like, oh, there's typos in. Fix that. Yes, I looked back at the Starship Locations game setup, first-person player thing, and it's like, wow, there's typos in here. Oh, yeah. Can't do that. Take those typos out. And yeah, don't steal covers from movies. Yeah, they were pointing out the thing about covers in movies and stuff. Talking about covers. Yeah, don't just borrow A New Hope. They were saying, like, every fantasy story has this either a hooded man or a hooded man with sword. Or just, yeah, that's what it is. A hooded man or a hooded man with sword. And yeah, I've even seen one where the hooded man had a lightsaber. Or his hood was glowing. Still a variation of the same thing. Including, yeah, a lot of the classics did that. Don't do that. Or if you're going to do a hooded man, then make it really bizarre. You could do the hooded man with the sword, but put bunny ears on it. Make him an anthropomorphized rabbit. And then it would be like, okay, that's interesting. That cover is more... That's not just the cover of the hooded man. It's okay, what is Bunny Man actually doing? What is he going to do? Probably if he was a bunny, he's probably going to be very flamboyant and outgoing and probably make love at the drop of a hat. Any hat. Which is from Star Trek. It's from that really awful episode, Justice. Yeah. It's terrible. Or was it Haven? It was Haven, that's it. Was it? Yeah, it was. I think it was. No, wait a minute. Justice? It was Justice. 3rd episode. Next Gen. The one where Wesley steps on the grass and aliens threaten to kill him, like immediately execute him. I think Picard at that point would have said, well, actually, time to set the Prime Directive right. Very well, we may kill Wesley. No. Poor Wesley. Poor Will. No, Will, it's okay. Just joking. But yes, So there's my little, yeah, there's almost nothing about the con. Yeah, it was interesting. There was not terribly a lot extra going on. My friends on for a long time. Well, yeah. And then I'm probably going to talk on the slideshow too. This is all the YouTube stuff anyway. So, yeah, nothing weird or untoward happened. There were another T-Rex. We went. Fantastic Mr. Fox was there. One of the Job Club guys. It was a fox. Hilarious. Yes, we broke the fourth wall at one point. The fox guy showed up again, and he recognized me. We made eye contact. So, yes. So, I think I know who that is. I'm not going to say, but I think I know who that is. But, yeah, but yeah, or maybe he just was somebody familiar in a fox outfit. Furry people. A friend of furries. Oh yes, by the way. Friend of furries. I know how. This is a tail. I'm not really a furry, but see, I have the cat ears, so I got a tail, so I can make a anthro cat. Sort of a, yeah, considering I was a gunsmith cat at one point. For Halloween, I will be an anthro cat for Halloween, and it'll be awesome because I actually have a real like anime, Fanime, like actual authentic. Well, this isn't really fur; it's like plastic. Tail, and it'll look like a cat tail because it's modeled after an anime character. Also, curiously, the gunsmith cat from I think like 10 years ago was the gunsmith cat. It was a female from the show, and I didn't know it. And the little kid was like, there was a kid there, and he was like, "You're the girl. You can't be Brown Cat. She's a girl." You know. But the thing is, 2 years later, in Gunsmith Cat's generation, when I went to the school, and there was like a different group of them, because they like did a sort of a spin-off, like more edgy spin-off, you know. There was a brown cat that was a male, so I was ahead of the curve by 2 years. Brown cat. It goes with my hair.